Good morning, and welcome to the 2017 Evergreen Partnership Conference. I am Steve Bailey with Bailey Tools and Safety, based out of Louisville, Kentucky. I have had the privilege to serve as chairman of the board of directors this past year and would like to share the story of my business and how it relates to the spirit many of us possess as entrepreneurs and members of family businesses. Bailey Tools operates from two locations in Kentucky and Indiana. We supply power tools, safety equipment, job site supplies, fasteners, and offer tool repair to the electrical, mechanical, and general contracting trades. 23 years ago, I became a third-generation owner and was proud to be at the helm this past January to celebrate our 80th year in business. Bailey Tools was started by my grandfather, Harry Madison Bailey, in 1937 out of his garage in the west end of Louisville, Kentucky. My grandfather was a machinist by trade, but it was his creative spirit that led him to be an inventor and a successful entrepreneur. In the 1930s, Harry worked as a lead machinist for a local company named Louisville Electric, an electric motor manufacturing company located in downtown. Louisville Electric was a very diverse company. They built motors, invented the first electric lawnmower, and even manufactured a beer keg compressor for a local company, Fall City Brewery. During my grandfather's employment, he also repaired motors and provided machine work during nights and weekends out of his 400 square foot garage in order to provide extra income for his family. The city of Louisville originally started as a trading town along the banks of the Ohio River, just upstream from some very large waterfalls. As the trading community moved down the river from cities like Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, they were forced to stop before the falls. That's when Louisville began to prosper. In 1937, the area was struck by an unusual amount of rain. It caused the Ohio River to rise 30 feet above flood stage, sending water up to 12 miles on each side of its banks and putting the majority of the city underwater. It was the worst natural disaster in the 20th century, permanently closing many businesses in downtown Louisville, including the manufacturing company that my grandfather worked for. Faced with the challenge of losing his job, but still needing to support his wife and 7-year-old son, my grandfather began repairing cars in his garage that were damaged by the floodwaters. Between his auto repair work and his machining business, he started making more money than he ever did at his job with Louisville Electric. So, he made the decision to turn his side jobs into his full-time career. Soon after his entrepreneurial leap, he was given the opportunity to make parts and assemble a motorized cutting torch machine called the Cut-O-Matic, which was invented by a local businessman. He continued to manufacture the Cut-O-Matic through the Second World War until stopping in 1957. Many of them are still being used today in small machine and sheet metal shops around the country. Another niche business he had was repairing power tools and floor sanders, specifically the Porter-Cable brand. In 1941, after Porter-Cable recognized his loyalty to their brand, he was asked to be the regional sales rep while the current one went to war. During his time as a Porter-Cable salesman, he faced a major challenge. He could only sell parts because Porter-Cable's manufacturing capacity was being used to fill government orders for the war. Using his entrepreneurial thinking, he began to make tools on his own from the parts which were available and then sell the assembled tools to the distributors. He seemed to always create an opportunity in any situation. In 1948, while Harry was building his very unique and diverse business, my father, Robert Bailey Sr., graduated from high school and entered the Navy. After spending 1 year as a mechanic in the boiler room of a Navy destroyer, he was released to serve the rest of his time in the reserves. That was the point that my father started his 42-year career with Bailey Tools. Soon after joining the family business, the two outgrew the garage in the back alley. They then built their first building in the west end of Louisville. Now having the extra space for a storefront and a warehouse, they entered into the world of power tool distribution. 4 years later, in 1952, my father was called up by the Navy to serve 2 years in the Korean War. Once out of the military for good, he became Bailey Tools' first outside salesman. Not only was he peddling power tools and accessories to contractors and home builders, he was also attending a local college and supporting my mother and, at that time, my 2 older sisters. The late 1950s proved to be a pivotal time for the company. My father earned his undergraduate degree, and Harry invented and manufactured an adapter that attached a router to a radial arm saw. The radial arm saw was designed by the original DeWalt company and was a stationary version of the now compound sliding miter saw. This adapter was unique and completely new to the industry. It allowed the woodworker to turn his DeWalt saw into a router station that could glide and make patterns with more precision than anything else currently on the market. His invention was off to a great start when the Black & Decker Corporation gave him a PO for 1,000 units and then later put it in their catalog. The demand soon began to taper as the radial arm saw became a less popular piece of equipment. Eventually, manufacturing stopped in 1960, 5 years after its invention. At that point, my grandfather made the decision to get out of the machining business. Bailey Tools' focus became the distribution of power tools, accessories, electric floor sanders, and power tool repair. I have heard my father tell the story countless times about the time when he asked my grandfather why he would abandon machine work, a business he had been doing for so long and was very skilled in. My grandfather's response is one I will never forget. It was an answer that moved the company forward and laid the foundation to what it has become today. His answer to my dad was, "There's only so much I can make in one day, but there's no limit to what I can sell in a day." The forward thinking of my grandfather demonstrates the entrepreneurial spirit many of us in this room possess. It's that spirit that keeps us constantly reevaluating our business. It's that spirit that keeps our minds open for new ideas, helps us remain flexible to market changes, allows us to listen to everyone in our organization, and enables us to move our companies forward and evolve into successful distributorships. That is why we are leaders in our markets, and that is why we are members of the Evergreen Marketing Group. On June 17, 1967, exactly 2 years before the day I was born, Harry Bailey suffered a fatal heart attack while working in the store. From then on, my father continued the spirit and forward thinking that my grandfather instilled in him. He was passionate and committed to continue the growth of the distributorship, all while supporting my mother and their 6 children. In today's time, it's hard to imagine raising 6 kids, plus finding the time to be that true father figure and compassionate husband. He supported all 6 of us through school, sports, and made sure we all earned our college degrees. Today, he is a grandfather of 12 and a great-grandfather of 3. Making the decision to bring kids into the family business can prove to be a very challenging task. Family businesses face obstacles other businesses never have to deal with. It adds another dimension that can cause hardships both within the family and within the organization. The sense of entitlement and special privileges can be destructive in many forms. However, family can also prove to be extremely beneficial and even offer an advantage over other organizations. Many family members tend to have that extra drive, vested interest, and pride that can make a business succeed beyond normal expectations. Following the timing of my father's plans to grow Bailey Tools, he brought in my oldest brother. Robert was the third oldest of my siblings and was being groomed as the next leader of Bailey Tools. 10 years later, my father decided to retire. He left the company and never looked back. In the early 90s, my brother was looking for someone with the drive and commitment to join him and take the company to the next level. I came on board in 1993 as his partner. We completed the buyout of our father. We grew the company every year, adding locations and increasing our market base. Until that time, most of us hoped to never experience again. 2009 was more than just a trying year for us. In the 15 years my brother and I were partners, we had never experienced a down year. We had never laid anyone off, reduced our inventory, took pay cuts, or had difficult discussions with our bank. It challenged us both financially and emotionally. It was an experience we had never thought to plan for. On top of that, we had just finished an acquisition of another distributor when sales dropped 30% almost overnight. In the next couple of years, I learned more than I ever had in my professional career. As we worked our way through the challenges, my brother decided to leave and take an early retirement. I refinanced the company in order to purchase his interest in Bailey Tools, and then started the process to move us forward. All aspects of the company were completely reorganized and then rebuilt with the new culture. It was only with the help of and dedication of my team, several of whom are here today, that allowed us to develop into a more focused and streamlined sales organization. Together, we grew the business to record levels never seen before in the history of Bailey Tools. Our industry has seen some tremendous growth and opportunities these past few years. Evergreen has reached its own record levels because of the prosperity we have experienced in both distribution and manufacturing. The growth and opportunity in construction distribution has also triggered many changes and shifts in our business models. We are also beginning to see an acceleration in acquisitions. Distributors are not only opening more locations, but they are also consuming other distributors themselves. Some at a very rapid pace, fueled by both private equity and family resources. Acquisitions are also very active on the supplier side. Just in the few years I've been on the Evergreen board, we have witnessed numerous acquisitions, both with the members and preferred supplier side of the business. There are many reasons why we're seeing this happen on both sides. The aging ownership of many independent distributors without an exit plan. The search for improved efficiencies as margins erode and expenses climb. Internet pressures, plus many more I could list. But the real question is, what long-term impact will this have on construction distribution, and how do we evolve going forward? As suppliers merge and become larger, their distributors become a smaller piece of their overall sales pie. As distributors merge, they can quickly regain some of the importance they may have lost. Having strong supplier-distributor relationships is key to our success. That is exactly why we are in this room today. So where does that leave the small to medium-sized distributor? They will need to stay flexible and evolve around these trends. It will be essential for them to find their focus and work with the suppliers that understand the value they provide to the end user. The medium market distributor will struggle long term if they continue to do business like they have in the past. They must embrace change in their organizations to succeed in this rapidly changing market. To stay ahead of the curve, I signed an agreement just last month for the acquisition of Bailey Tools by longtime Evergreen member Total Tool Supply out of St. Paul, Minnesota. It was a decision that gives my organization the opportunity and resources we need to prosper and compete in our ever-changing industry. Total Tool is a family business that was started by Doug Jordan in 1977 with 1 location and 3 employees. It is now under the leadership of his son Andy, who currently has 10 locations with almost 200 employees in 6 states. Total Tool is a leader in their markets for power tool distribution, rigging, equipment repair, rental, and job site supplies. The Jordans are some of the most respected members in our industry, and I'm proud that Bailey Tools will be a part of the Total Tool family. I look forward to a future of growth with the resources they will provide. Family businesses and an entrepreneurial spirit have built this industry to what it is today. But deliberate and focused evolution from ownership must happen to keep the independent distributor moving forward. The one guarantee we have is the knowledge of constant change. It was an honor to serve on the Evergreen Board of Directors these past 3 years. Working with the other board members has been an incredible learning experience, and I have made some great friends. I enjoyed finding ways to improve the group and keep it moving forward. I encourage everyone in this room to get involved with Evergreen and participate whenever you have the opportunity. Thank you for your time, and have a great conference.